I have experienced this in my own life, but tree nuts can cause anxiety. I bet you didn't know that. If you go looking for information on tree nuts causing anxiety, you will not find anything. Most of the symptoms that they talk about are the traditional anaphylaxis, hives, swelling, throat stuff, just things that are very physical based. However, I have had a history of knowing that I get random, dreadful anxiety when I eat nuts. For a long time, I didn't even know what was going on. I just had horrible anxiety. Throughout high school, I was also eating gluten at that time, but both of those things combined caused me horrible anxiety. I still wasn't gluten-free when I figured this out, so the gluten doesn't even cause it as much. But gluten can also cause some anxiety. But tree nuts specifically, I figured out. I had taken a big glass of almond milk, and this was back in 2020. And I used to eat almonds all the time, eat a lot of tree nuts, and drink almond milk. And so 30 minutes after I had a big glass of almond milk, all of a sudden I was hit with this huge wave of anxiety. And that was the first time when I realized I had just eaten a bunch of almond milk. Normally, this wave of anxiety would come upon me and it would be random. It would last for maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I would just feel anxious for the rest of the day after that. Sometimes it would then even last for a couple of days and I would just feel off. But this was the first time where I had connected it to the food that I had eaten before. So all of a sudden, I realized drinking almond milk caused me anxiety. So once I started piecing that together, every time I had tree nuts, any sort of tree nut, pecans, walnuts, there's a whole list of tree nuts, which can include coconut as well. I had horrible anxiety. Now, I want to go and start looking this up just to show you that you won't actually find a lot of information about this out there. There's not a lot of studies documenting this particular allergic reaction. So, Of those nuts, if you have a reaction with almonds, you have cross-reactivity with other nuts as well. So you should avoid all of these. You can be allergic to any tree nut. Now, a lot of doctors will tell you don't avoid tree nuts unless you know for sure that you're allergic, but also, they're just not that healthy. You can get so many nutrients that are in nuts from other foods that you don't need tree nuts at all. But if you have an issue with almonds, I would avoid Brazil nuts, cashews, hazelnuts, heart nuts, pecans, pistachios, and walnuts. Also, throw coconut onto this list. Another thing to note is that peanuts are not technically a tree nut. They're considered a legume, so they're more like a pea or soybeans. So if you have issues with peanuts, look for if you have issues with soybeans or peas. But I personally do not have that bad of an issue with peanuts. I don't eat them still. They will cause me some stomach issues, but I don't get the anxiety that I do from tree nuts. Most of the reactions that doctors are going to look for are skin reactions. You get hives, rashing, digestive issues, things that are very noticeable like swelling, and of course, anaphylactic shock. And if you go through a lot of these lists that list symptoms of an allergic reaction to tree nuts, you will not find anxiety on them. However, it is not unheard of for anxiety to be related to a food allergy. So looking at this list of all of the different signs of anaphylaxis, this chart is called Signs and Symptoms of Anaphylaxis. It includes anxiety. So you can have lightheadedness, loss of consciousness, confusion, headaches, or anxiety. The other thing to know about the anxiety is it doesn't necessarily go away quickly. It can be quick onset, or it could take a couple days, but then it can last for up to weeks afterward. And so you can just generally feel anxious for the rest of the week. Now, another symptom that I want to point out that I get frequently after having tree nuts are canker sores. So you get these little bumps inside of your mouth. So I tried to find a picture that wasn't too graphic here, but you just get a little bit of a wound. It's kind of a sore. It feels like it hurts a little bit, and it's kind of a bump. And it's not swelling. It's not general swelling of the lips or the tongue or the throat or some sort of inflammation or a rash, but it is a little wound, a sore inside of your lips. You can get them inside of the roof of your mouth as well, in your cheeks, and they are called canker sores. But these happen for me from tree nut exposure. Also, if I've been just barely contaminated, like there's a possibility of there being cross-contamination, I will also get canker sores. Another thing that happens for me is I will get nightmares, so I won't be able to sleep as well, and I get very bad nightmares and anxiety during the night. I will get some shivers, and my heart rate will change. I will kind of get chills, and all of this is a low form of an anaphylactic shock. But you don't have to go through full-blown anaphylaxis for it to be considered anaphylaxis. You don't have to be in anaphylactic shock for it to be anaphylaxis. You can have mild anaphylaxis, and that includes fast or slow heart rate, a change in your blood pressure or change in your temperature, and then of course hives, itchiness, a lot of these other symptoms that are more benign, but they are still considered anaphylaxis. So my biggest hope with this is that you would see that you're not alone in this. If you are having nut reactions and you don't know what's going on, your doctor's told you that you're not allergic, you've done the scratch test, the blood test, you're not allergic to tree nuts, but you have these symptoms when you eat tree nuts, you're allergic. So you don't need anyone else to tell you that. If your body knows that you're allergic, then you can just stop eating it, and you don't have to have some sort of doctor confirm for you that you are indeed allergic. At this time, there is no benefit to having a tree nut allergy diagnosis. Gluten might be different because it is technically considered a disability, but for some reason, tree nut allergies and allergies that can cause anaphylactic shock are not really considered disabilities that you have to live with, even though they definitely are. Now, if you're at the point where you need an EpiPen or you have like severe anaphylactic shock, you should speak to your doctor about that so that you can get the necessary protective measures that you need. But I'm not a doctor, so this is just me doing my own research, and I'm hoping that this can help you out there as well. So if you enjoyed this or this was helpful for you, please consider subscribing. I have some other videos and some other ideas for everything allergy related for celiac and health and fitness in general. So I hope this helped, and God bless.